Hello there, this is Network Africa. Coming up on the program, following the murder of a prominent Egyptian prosecutor, 6 members of the Muslim Brotherhood are arrested. We have the latest from Cairo. Then it's been more than 10 days since President Museveni of Uganda won the elections again, but the opposition takes the matter to court. Votes are counted in Benin Republic following yesterday's elections, which saw the incumbent president step down. Welcome to our first Monday edition of Network Africa for the month of March 2016 with me, Cynthia Are. Just before we bring you the latest on the arrests of 6 alleged Muslim Brotherhood members in Cairo, here's a quick summary of the stories which made headlines over the weekend.
A prominent Sudanese opposition leader, Hassan al-Turabi, who helped bring President Omar al-Bashir to power, has died at 84 in the capital, Khartoum. He was a veteran Islamist who led the Popular Congress Party. He was rushed to the hospital early on Saturday after suffering a heart attack. Turabi formed the Popular Congress Party in 1999 to challenge long-serving President Omar al-Bashir and his ruling National Congress Party, a group he was previously aligned with. He was jailed several times after forming the PCP, one of a handful of opposition groups that accused Bashir of clinging to power despite a promise to step down in 2015. Then armed men killed 12 people in villages in Central African Republic. This is the first violence since Faustin Achang Touadera was confirmed as president last Tuesday after an election many hoped would help end attacks. The attacks took place near the central town of Bambari and were likely linked to livestock rustling and an inter-ethnic dispute involving the Pule or Fulani ethnic group. Finally, United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon started his official visit to Algeria on Sunday, with the dispute over the Western Sahara and furthering anti-terrorism cooperation at the top of his agenda. Ban met with Algerian Foreign Minister Ramtain Lamamra on regional issues. Ban expressed the UN's willingness to offer humanitarian support to the affected people in Western Sahara. In the meantime, he addressed questions over US airstrikes in Libya in February, which generated controversy in the Algerian media.
When it comes to Libya bombing at that time, there was a Security Council resolution clearly asking the member state of the United Nations who had the capacity to render whatever means possible, including air operations at that time. At that time, as you may remember, several countries participated in coalition in that operation.
UN Secretary General Mr. Ban Ki-moon. Now he might be gone, but Egypt certainly hasn't forgotten him. Egypt has arrested 6 alleged Muslim Brotherhood members in connection with the killing of public prosecutor Hisham Barakat last year, and also ordered the detention for 15 days. The late prosecutor, who was 64 at the time of his death, was killed in a car bomb attack in Cairo in June of 2015. He was the most senior state official to die at the hands of militants since the toppling of Islamist President Mohamed Morsi in 2013. And there was no claim of the responsibility at the time. Judges and other senior officials have often been targeted by radical Islamists who are opposed to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and angered by prison and death sentences imposed on members of the now outlawed Muslim Brotherhood and other government opponents. But for the latest on this case, we go live to Cairo, where the Voice of America's Edward Uranian is standing by. Edward, thank you very much for joining us on Network Africa.
My pleasure.
And what is the latest regarding the arrests of these 6 alleged Muslim Brotherhood members?
Well, the Egyptian media has made a very big story out of this, undoubtedly, because the government narrative puts the Muslim Brotherhood squarely on the hot seat. Of course, some Western media organizations have been injecting a bit of skepticism into the government claims, but many Western media organizations support the Muslim Brotherhood, or at least seem to have positions that support the Muslim Brotherhood. So I wouldn't be surprised about that. Can we prove that this actually happened, that this is reality? I'm not sure we can. We really never can, because you're basically given the facts by the Interior Ministry, and it's pretty well near impossible to verify those facts. But that being said, most of the people I spoke with seem to think that this is true.
Well, I will come back to the issue of facts and evidence on this case, but just before I get to that, do we know for certain these men who are arrested, or these people who are arrested, are actually Muslim Brotherhood members?
Well, specifically, we don't, because it's impossible to interrogate them personally. But that being said, no one ever, at least in my experience, ever admits to belonging to the Muslim Brotherhood anyway.
Yes.
So even if they did, they tell you no if you ask them. And if they were interrogated by the government and they said on television that they belonged to the Muslim Brotherhood, that could also mean they were interrogated and told to say that.
Okay.
So it could work both ways.
Now, back to the issue of evidence. There is speculation that there is little or no evidence in the case of this late prosecutor. However, analysts are saying that this is just another tactic being used by the Egyptian government to attack the Muslim Brotherhood even further. What are your thoughts about that?
My thoughts are that there are a lot of analysts out there that support the Muslim Brotherhood and that would say that no matter what. And of course, you could reverse the argument and say that the government would accuse the Muslim Brotherhood no matter what either. But my suspicion is that the Muslim Brotherhood had the most interest in doing this sort of thing, and the Hamas group in Gaza is part of the Muslim Brotherhood. Gaza used to be part of Egypt from 1948 to 1967, and it's the Gaza branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. So Hamas playing a role in the attack, it wouldn't be a surprise.
Okay, final question, and this is actually on a more positive note anyway. We understand that President Putin had some talks with President al-Sisi earlier today. Is that more than, do you know they discussed more than security?
Well, they've been sort of meeting regularly, talking regularly for quite a long time. I mean, Egyptian government delegations have visited Russia since pretty much the overthrow of President Morsi of the Muslim Brotherhood. Mm-hmm. They were trying to strengthen ties to Russia because they were of the perception that the U.S. was supporting the Muslim Brotherhood, be that true or not. And also, they support the Russian position on Syria. I'm sure the Russians are eager to have support on Syria, and there's been a bit of friction over that because Saudi Arabia, which also supports the government here in Egypt, supports the opposition in Syria. So it's a bit of a thorny issue here.
Okay. Well, Voice of America's Edward Iranian, thank you very much for joining us on Network Africa. Still to come on the program, it's been more than 10 days since President Museveni of Uganda won the election for the fifth time, but the opposition takes the matter to court.